You moved to New York City because back home, the ceiling is visible from the floor. Not as a metaphor. You can see exactly how high you're allowed to go because someone you went to school with has already hit it. They're in their mid 40s, still on the same commute, and they stopped talking about the things they were going to do somewhere around year 3. Your salary sounds like a salary until you try to actually live on it. Your family has opinions about every decision you make, and those opinions show up at dinner uninvited, framed as worry, but delivered like verdicts. You are 26 years old, and you can already see what 40 looks like from here if nothing changes. So you do what people do when they've watched too many movies set in Manhattan and followed too many accounts posting midnight skyline shots. You build a version of New York City entirely from things that aren't real. The idea that ambition is a currency this city actually recognizes, that if you show up hungry enough, the city eventually meets you halfway, that a place this large is big enough to let you become someone new inside of it. You get a J1 visa, it takes 4 months, a sponsoring organization, and a bank statement you refresh every few days to confirm it still says enough. You have $2,300 saved and one contact in your phone labeled Marcus NYC, a man from your cousin's wedding who said, "Hit me up if you ever come through." He seemed like he meant it. You book the one-way ticket. The plan is simple. Work. Build something. Figure the rest out. 3 objectives. No realistic timeline for any of them. JFK lands you at the wrong terminal, which is New York City's opening move. Then the air train, then the EA train, and then the actual subway at Friday rush hour. Every person in the 5 boroughs apparently routed into this one car, generating heat, going nowhere, refusing eye contact with a professionalism you don't understand yet. The smell is not something any reel ever captured. You surface at 34th Street with your bag, and the city stacks itself around you in every direction. Buildings against sky, and you stand there doing the calculation. 8.3 million people. 0 who know you just arrived. Marcus from the wedding doesn't pick up. You leave a voicemail that sounds more desperate than you meant it to, and spend the next 3 days in a hostel in Midtown, burning through money you don't have. Scrolling through Street Easy at 1 a.m. with your jaw slightly clenched. The listings disappear before noon. Not a metaphor. You find something in your price range. You spend 20 minutes composing an inquiry that strikes the right tone, and by the time you send it, the unit is gone. The callbacks you do get come back within 48 hours, all rejections, all in the same form language. The others don't reply at all. Gone to someone with a local credit score, an American co-signer, and 2 years of W-2s that prove they exist in the way this city requires you to exist. You don't have any of those things. You have a J1, a bank statement, and a story nobody has time to read. The requirements are their own kind of theater. Proof of income equal to 40 times the monthly rent. 40 times. A $1,800 apartment means you need to prove $72,000 in annual earnings, which you don't have because you don't have a job yet. Landlords who will actually consider you without a cosigner want first month, last month, security deposit, and a broker fee on top. Sometimes 2 months' rent paid to someone whose contribution was unlocking the door. You end up in Jackson Heights, a room in a shared apartment found through a Facebook group called NYC Housing for International Students and Workers, which has 40,000 members and approximately 40,000 red flags posted every hour. 3 roommates. One works nights, so you share the kitchen without ever actually occupying it at the same time. The room fits the twin mattress and not much else. The window looks directly into another window 4 feet away. You don't know whose it is. They don't acknowledge yours. You sit on the floor because there's no furniture yet. 1 bulb on a cord. You look at the room and think, this is home now. The job is at a tech startup in Midtown, junior product role, $62,000 a year. On paper, that's a real salary. $5,166 a month before anyone touches it. Federal tax takes its share. State tax takes its share. New York City levies its own income tax on top of both, which is a level of institutional confidence you'd find impressive if it weren't your paycheck. By the time every deduction has finished, $5,166 has become roughly $3,600 in your bank account. You stare at that number for a while. Rent, $900, your share. MetroCard, $132 a month. Health insurance, $210, because the J1 requires coverage, and the plan the sponsoring organization found covers everything as long as you don't actually need anything. Phone. Utilities split 4 ways. Internet split 4 ways. That leaves around $2,100 before food, before anything. Then the wire transfer. $400 a month to your mother, who is handling your younger sister's school fees and a medication that costs more at home than it should. You set it up the morning your first paycheck clears, and you don't think of it as optional because it isn't. It's a line item. Same priority as rent. What's left comes to about $55 a day. In a city where a deli sandwich is $17 and a subway ride costs $2.90 each way. You learn fast to stop converting dollars into the home currency equivalent. The math always comes out looking like an accusation, so you stop. You drink the $3 bodega coffee. You pack lunch in a container you wash in the shared sink every night. You stand on the train for 45 minutes with your bag between your feet, and at some point, none of it registers as hardship. It just becomes the texture of the day. The loneliness hits around week 3. Not the dramatic kind, not the kind that shows up on your face or gives you something to describe when people ask how you're settling in. The quiet kind. The kind that gets on the subway with you and rides all the way from Queens to Midtown and gets off at your stop and follows you up the stairs without saying anything. At work, your coworkers are friendly, genuinely. They ask where you're from, they say that's amazing, they recommend a diner near the office. Then it's 5:01 and they're gone, back into the specific gravity of lives that were already built before you arrived. You weren't there for any of it. You can't walk into 10 years of someone's history on a Tuesday and be inside it by Friday. The roommates have their own orbits. You share a bathroom, a kitchen, a wall. You learn each other's schedules the way you learn a bus route. Necessary information, nothing more. When the loneliness peaks, it's usually around 10 p.m. That's when everyone back home who actually knows you is either asleep or already deep into their morning. You text your mother things you could have called to say. She replies 6 hours later. By then, you've already packed the feeling somewhere you can't reach. You scroll through your phone looking at other people's New York, the version where the city is a backdrop for something being enjoyed. You close the app. You look around the room, the one cord bulb, the window 4 feet from someone else's window, and outside the city keeps moving at the exact speed it always moves, completely unbothered by the fact that you're in it and none of it knows your name. That's not cruelty. It's just the physics of a place this fast. The person who changes things is named Eddie. He owns the bodega on the corner of Roosevelt and 74th, which means he's been in Jackson Heights longer than most of the buildings have had their current tenants. His full name is Eduardo, but the sign above the register says Eddie's, and he's been Eddie for 22 years since the day he taped that sign up himself. You meet him the first week, technically, because you stop there every morning for coffee, but you don't actually meet him until the 3rd week, when you're counting exact change at the counter and you're 2 cents short, and he waves it off without looking up from whatever he's reading behind the register. That's it. 2 cents. But it's the first time anyone in the city has done something for you without a transaction attached to it, and your body registers the difference before your brain does. The next morning, you put the 2 cents on the counter before he can say anything. He looks at it, then at you, and laughs. Real laugh. Not the polite kind you've been getting at work. He says something in Spanish, then switches to English when he sees your face. He asks where you're from, you tell him. He nods like this is useful information and hands you your coffee. That's how it starts. 1 sentence a day, then 2. You learn that he came from Ecuador in 1999, that he has a daughter at Queens College studying nursing, that he can tell the weather by whether the delivery trucks are running early or late, and that he has strong opinions about the correct way to make rice that he will share with you whether you ask or not. You learn 3 words in Spanish. He corrects your pronunciation with the patient precision of someone who has done this for dozens of people over 2 decades. He says, "Your version sounds like a question. You say everything sounds like a question to you right now." He laughs again. He starts holding your coffee when he sees you come through the door. He doesn't charge you for the extra sugar. He tells you when the good mangoes come in and sets 2 aside on the ledge near the register with a sticky note that says, "Your name spelled phonetically in his handwriting. It's small. All of it is small. But in a city where every interaction has a price and a timeline and an exit built into it, someone setting aside a mango with your name on it is not small at all." Eddie doesn't make New York City exciting. He makes it survivable. That's the thing nobody tells you. Survivable is actually what you need. Somewhere around month 4, something shifts without announcing itself. You know which subway car to board, so you surface at the right end of the platform. You know the F train runs slow on Sunday mornings, and the 7 is faster than it looks on the map. You know that the good produce at the corner store comes in on Tuesday, that the diner on 81st doesn't charge for coffee refills if you sit at the counter, that the bench in Diversity Plaza gets direct sun from about 2 to 4 p.m., and that if you bring lunch there on a clear day, it's the best 45 minutes the city offers for free. You buy a lamp for the room, a real one with a shade. You buy a small rug that costs $28 at a place on Junction Boulevard, and you put it next to the bed, so the first thing your feet touch in the morning isn't cold floor. You hang one thing on the wall. Nothing significant, but it's yours, and you put it there, and the room looks different with it. At work, someone calls your name from across the office without looking at their badge first to double check. It's a minor thing. You notice it anyway. One Thursday, a co-worker named Priya asks if you want to get a drink after work. Casual, the way people ask when they already assume yes, and you go, and it turns into 3 hours at a bar in Hell's Kitchen with 4 people from the office who turn out to be funny in ways that didn't come through on Slack. You take the train home at 11, and the city at that hour is loud and lit and completely indifferent to you, but you're inside it in a way that feels different from before. The happiness doesn't look like anything in a photograph. It's quieter than that. It lives in the body, in the specific feeling of a morning when you stop orienting and just move. You stop counting down to the end of your visa. You start making plans that reach past it. That's the shift. That's the thing that matters. The email arrives on a Wednesday morning. No subject line. A calendar invite from HR for that afternoon. No description. 30 minutes blocked. The kind of scheduling that only means one thing, and you spend 4 hours pretending it doesn't. The meeting is 12 minutes. Your manager is there. Someone from HR you've never seen is there. The language is careful and clean. The company is restructuring. Visa sponsorships not yet converted to H-1B status are being discontinued at the end of the quarter. They're very sorry. There's a packet. There's always a packet. The H-1B lottery. You'd filed through the company. 780,000 applications competing for 85,000 spots. Roughly an 11% chance with a standard bachelor's degree. The lottery doesn't know how long you've been here. It doesn't know about the lamp or the rug or the bench in Diversity Plaza or the Thursday in Hell's Kitchen. It runs the numbers and it doesn't care what's attached to them. Your number wasn't drawn. The immigration attorney is $400 for 1 hour in an office in Flushing. She's efficient and not unkind. She explains what you already know but need confirmed by someone with a law degree. You have 60 days from the end of your authorized status to secure a new sponsoring employer or depart voluntarily. There are options. She lists them. Each option has a condition attached that narrows the next one. The list gets shorter the longer she talks. You make phone calls. Companies with open roles in your field. HR departments that express genuine sympathy, ask for your resume, say they'll circle back. 2 of them do. Both are unable to sponsor foreign nationals at this time. The sympathy is real. The timeline doesn't move for it. You stop at Eddie's on the way home. He hands you your coffee before you reach the counter. He reads your face the way he reads everything, quietly and without making it a performance. He asks what happened. You tell him. He's quiet for a moment, and then he says, in his careful English, that this city asks too much from the people who give it everything. It's the truest sentence you've heard since you landed. That's what makes it hard. Before today, the city was something you were building inside of. Now there's a specific shape to what you're losing, and the clock on it has already started. The 60 days go faster than 60 days should be allowed to go. You send 40 more applications, you get 12 responses, 3 interviews, 0 sponsors. The math closes around you so quietly, you almost miss the moment it becomes final. You pack the suitcase in an afternoon. The lamp doesn't fit. The rug rolls up, but there's no room for it either. The thing on the wall comes down and goes in the trash because it doesn't mean anything without the room around it. You leave a note for the roommates that says thanks and take care, which is inadequate, but there's no word that isn't. On the last morning, you walk the neighborhood. Roosevelt Avenue under the elevated 7 train, vendors already set up at 8 a.m. The light coming through in broken columns. The diner on 81st. You sit at the counter, and the woman who works mornings refills your coffee without asking. You don't tell her it's the last time. You stop at Eddie's last. He already knows. He's had that knowledge on his face every morning for a week. He makes your coffee and puts it on the counter and says, very simply, that you should come back when you can. You say you will. Both of you know what that means in a sentence like that. Some goodbyes are just 2 people standing in the same place for a few extra seconds before one of them has to leave. Your father picks you up at the airport. He hugs you and says he's proud of you for trying. He means it. It still lands like a door closing. Nobody asks about Eddie. Nobody asks about the bench or the diner or the Thursday in Hell's Kitchen. It doesn't register as lost to people who weren't there for the building of it. The room in Jackson Heights sits empty for 3 weeks. Then someone new moves in. The lamp is still there. They don't know whose it was. In a city of 8.3 million people, one disappeared foreigner isn't a tragedy. It's just a vacancy. That wraps it up for today. The story you just heard is fiction, but New York City has over 3 million foreign-born residents, and hundreds of thousands of them are on temporary work visas, status that has to be renewed, sponsored, and approved by people who don't know their name. And the loneliest part of that isn't the uncertainty. It's that you can build something completely real inside a situation that was never guaranteed to last. If this one stayed with you, drop a comment and tell me which part hit the hardest. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.